Hi, I'd like to share my single story with you. I'm going to entitle it Dumb Blonde. It's an age-old story, but it's a story that has affected a lot of people, and I would like to share how it has affected me. So first off, I was born with black hair, and it fell out and grew back in blonde. So I grew up most of my childhood as a blonde, and as I started to enter my teen years, it started to get gradually darker and what they call mousy blonde. So at some point, I started to highlight my hair. Mainly because I felt better based on my complexion and the fact that my entire family thought of me as a blonde. So that's how I became a blonde in the adult world. I think the first time that I ever really realized that people were judging me based on the way I looked was when I was 16 in high school, and my Spanish teacher had given me a B instead of the A that I had earned. So when I went in to advocate to have that grade changed, he kind of smiled at me and said, "Why do you need this grade changed? It's just one grade difference. I don't understand what the importance is." So I said, "Well, I'm going to be applying for college and I need my grades to be accurately reflected." And he said, "I'm not really sure why you want to go to college, because a girl that looks like you will certainly find someone to take care of them." That shocked me a little bit, and I said, "Well, no, I'm going to take care of myself and I want to go to college." So he hemmed and he hawed and he said, "You're right, I made the mistake, so I will change your grade. But again, you're probably going to meet somebody, get married, and be taken care of." I didn't really like that comment, and I didn't really make me feel good, but I really didn't understand the implications at age 16. However, it must have really bothered me, because here I am so many years later telling you this story. The next time that I ever felt that someone was judging me based on the way I looked, and probably because my hair was blonde, was when I had gone back to get my master's in human resource management, and I was living in the Philippines. And so I walked into class, and I finished the 8-week course, and at the end, the professor came up to me and said, "Wow, you're really a decent student." And that really surprised me, because when I first saw you with the way you looked, I just figured that you were here because you had nothing better to do. And so I was really pleasantly surprised that you're a decent student. And again, thought, wow, being judged on the way I look. And so I thought, well, I'm going to show you what kind of a student I really am, because I know I'm a good student and it has nothing to do with the way I look. So the next time this happened to me, it was from a female coworker who looked at me and said, "Wow, you're really smarter than you look." And I looked at her and I said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "Well, your hair, your makeup, your outfits, I just figured you had to look good because you weren't that bright." She goes, "But after I've gotten to know you, I realized how smart you really are." Again, I was shocked, and I'm not exaggerating. That's exactly what she said to me. So I kind of said a few things to her that I'm not going to repeat on the video. I said it politely, but let her know that I was really not happy with being judged based on the way I looked. The next time I felt this was when I was invited to interview for one of my first teaching positions. And halfway through the interview, the interviewer looked at me and said, "So, how do you feel about working with African American young men?" And I knew that my students could be any ethnicity or any race. So I looked at him and I said, "Well, I'm fine. What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, you're blonde and you're white, and you may not be comfortable, you may not be used to it." And I kind of laughed and I said, "Well, I went to a high school that was extremely racially integrated, and I grew up with a variety of races and ethnicities, and those were my peers. That's what I grew up with. And so I welcome differences, and I welcome people that have different backgrounds." And so I said, "So I really don't think I'm going to have a problem with this at all, as I went to school with many African American young men and have some very dear friends." So again, I thought that was a little odd. And so as I was watching Chimamanda's video about the single story, and how she said that it creates stereotypes, and it robs people of their dignity, and it really emphasizes how we are more different than how we are alike, and we really are all alike. And everybody has a story, and the story that you see when you first meet somebody is not the whole story. And so you should really wait to hear everybody's full story instead of the one you're making up in your mind based on what you may see, and realize there's more to people than just the way they look. Thank you very much.